Carter Fit here, guys. This week's video we're going to be focusing on the back squat, specifically how to do a proper squat. Most common leg exercise done in the gym, most commonly done incorrectly. So we're going to go over how to do it the right way. We're also going to touch on some common myths and errors that you probably see all the time. I'm going to address them, we're going to fix them together, and then at the end of the video we're going to have a topic of the day: how to train abs. You might be doing them the wrong way. Let's get it. So we're going to go over the back squat. We'll go over two specific segments. The first will be the setup. Okay, so we'll talk about the grip first. My grip, I prefer just outside of shoulder width. Really all you need to focus on is a grip that's close enough to your shoulders to make sure the muscles of your upper back can stay tight. That's the most important. Okay, step two, let's talk about the unrack. So most people, when they unrack, I see it a lot in the gym, where people tend to do a mini squat, and that's not what you want. Okay, we want to focus on hip extension, so that means we want to focus on pushing our hips through the bar. So when I set up, I'm going to keep my knees behind my toes and just focus on extending my hips, pushing my hips through. Okay, then we'll talk about a walkout. It'll be a 3-step walkout. So the first big step, second, third will be real small. Setup for your feet is going to be just outside of shoulder width, toes slightly pointed outwards. And then we're ready to squat. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about the second segment of the back squat today, and that's going to be the eccentric and concentric portion of the movement. So for our back squat, we have the eccentric, which is the way down when you sit down into the hole, and then you have a concentric when you're standing up with the weight. Both are super important. For the eccentric portion of the lift, we're going to be focusing on hip and knee flexion. For the concentric, we're going to focus on hip and knee extension, the opposite of those two movements. So as you sit down into the hole, what happens is the angle between your torso and your quads gets smaller. That's what we call flexion, hip flexion. When that happens at the knee joint, we call it knee flexion. So the focus is going to be doing those two things simultaneously while keeping the barbell directly over the center of your foot. When you get into the hole, we're going to want to explode fairly quickly, making sure your hips and knees extend at the exact same time. And when that happens, you're going to end up with the perfect back squat. So before we hit abs, before we talk about our topic of the day, ab training, just want to go over a quick tip, which you all should probably know at this point. Abs are made in the kitchen. So there's not any amount of work we can do in here that's going to take off that layer of fat. Okay, we can't spot train for fat reduction. We're not going to do that with our ab exercise. Make sure you're lean before you focus on seeing abs. We want to build our abs because they are muscles, they will grow, they will get stronger. That's what this is going to be focused on today. Number two, before we move on, when to train abs. So abs, me specifically, I like to hit them at the end of my training. I do a lot of heavy compound movements, squats, deadlifts, any type of variation of the two. That means my core needs to be strong. I need to make sure I have that ab engagement during those lifts. So I hit my abs at the end. That way, if they're worn out after I leave the gym, it's not gonna affect my heavy compounds. First exercise, we're gonna work on spinal flexion in 2 different ways today. First one's gonna be a hanging leg raise. Second will be a crunch. Let's do it. Second exercise for abs, for isolation, we're gonna work on laterally flexing our spine. So that means bending side to side with our torso. So try this, light dumbbell. We're gonna go for volume. All you're gonna do is let the dumbbell slide down, keep your core tight, flex up to this position. You should feel those obliques work. Next exercise, number 3. This is the one where people don't do this enough. So we focus on spinal flexion with our crunches, our hanging leg raises. What we don't do enough is rotate our torso. So we have external and internal obliques that work torso rotation and anti-rotation. So what we're gonna do here is gonna be a variation of the lumberjack. And all you're gonna do is hold this out in front of you, rotate that torso, flex the obliques, and then come back to neutral. All right, last exercise for this circuit, specifically for abs. Number 4, we're gonna talk about a crunch. All right, and all we're gonna do for our crunch, feet up in the air. You want to crunch your shoulders towards the ceiling. So we're not just flexing our spine forwards, but also we're pushing up. We're going to try to keep those rectus abdominis muscles flexed and engaged as long as possible. So try those 4 ab exercises out. Let me know what you think. We're hitting all the functions of the abs in that quick circuit. It'll take you 10-15 minutes tops to run through all 4. Do it 2 or 3 times. Abs will be on fire. 6-pack in no time.